Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmate. So we are the group 1 to report about topic 2, strategic leadership, managing the strategy process. To be reported by Mary Ann Pintukan, to be followed by Kazaira Velasquez, Kinesa Reyes, Rica Rualios, Joreen Carpio, Usman Roselani, and Luisa de la Cruz.
So good morning everyone. Good morning ma'am. This is my report. Topic number 2, strategic leadership managing the strategy process. Under strategic leadership, it's defining the organization's strategy. It's all about the strategy of the company or the organizations. Let's proceed to the next. Mission, vision, and values. So, matatakal din po natin to. Then, proceed. Sa PepsiCo's Indra Nooyi, performance with a purpose. So, si PepsiCo's Indra Nooyi, from the word Pepsi, siya ang may-ari ng company Pepsi. So, performance with a purpose, talagang ginawa niya yun ng may purpose sa buhay niya. So, yun, para makatulong. So, ito po si Indra Nooyi. And then, this is the information about Indra Nooyi. Chief Executive Officers. So, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, siya yung may-ari ng Pepsi. Nakatira siya sa may Chennai, India. Hold multiple degree, bachelor degree in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Sa college, nag-college siya sa may Madras Christian College. MBA from India Institution of Management and master's degree in Yale University. Joined PepsiCo in 1994. So, nagsimula ang Pepsi in 1994. Joined PepsiCo. Worked for Johnson Boston Consulting Group, Motorola, and ABB. $70 billion annual revenue, 300,000 employees worldwide. Took the lead role in spinning off Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC in 1997. Acquisitions of Tropicana in 1998 and Quaker Oats, including Gatorade, in 2001. Tropicana is one of the drink. So, mabibili nyo pa rin yun kahit 7-Eleven. Makikita nyo yung Tropicana na yun sa lahat ng mga hindi pamilyar sa Tropicana. Siguro naman lahat pamilyar yun. So, let's proceed to the next. As CEO, Ms. Nooyi declares PepsiCo's vision to be performance with a purpose as defined the 3 dimensions. So, ito yung mga, kaya niya pinangalan ng performance with a purpose. Kasi talagang yung, hindi lang puro business talaga, hindi lang puro strategies, puro business yung gusto niyang i-build, kundi yung pating makatulong din sa environment, sa human. So, number 1, human sustainability. Human sustainability is a form of development which satisfies the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Example, natural environment, economic validity, healthy community. So, let's proceed to the number 2, environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is concerned with whether environment resources will be protected and maintained for future generation. So, kapag magtatayo ka ng business, hindi kailangan na hindi required yung hindi mo iniisip yung environment. Kailangan, kapag magtatayo ka ng environment, parehas tayong nakikinabang. Kunyari ako magtatayo ng environment, makikinabang ako at the same time, makikinabang din yung environment. Yung environment natin, talagang i-protect natin, talagang wag natin sisirain. For the new generation para makita pa nila yung mga henerasyon. So, the person at work, number 3, the person at work. The whole person at work development is a process through which the intellectual, physical, professional, psychological, social, and spiritual kapag ito yung mga katangian na kailangan meron ng isang CEO or mga taong magbabalak ng business. This is the one of the most strategy you need. Kasi mawala dito yung professional. Hindi na tatakbo ng maayos ang company mo. Kailangan kompleto yan. Meron kang physical, professional, psychological, social. Kailangan advance ka lagi mag-isip when it comes to your company para hindi ito mawala at malugi agad. PepsiCo's vision, performance with a purpose, to acknowledge the importance of corporate social responsibility and stockholder strategy. So, yon. Yung mission, vision, and values natin for the next reporter na yun. So, thank you po.
Good day, everyone. I am Casara Velasquez, the next reporter. My topic would be vision and mission statements. The first step in the strategic management process are to define a firm's vision, mission, and values. With those guiding principles in place, we then consider how strategic leaders formulate strategy across different levels, may it be corporate, business, and functional. Effective strategic management process is the method put in place by strategic leaders to conceive and implement a strategy, for it can lay the foundation for a sustainable competitive advantage. Strategic leadership pertains to executive use of power and influence to direct the activities of others when pursuing an organization's goals. Described in Chapter 2, Indra Nooyi demonstrate it when defining goals and putting systems, structures, and incentives in place to achieve the vision of performance with a purpose. To begin the strategic management process, as you can see, these are the questions often asked by the strategic leaders. What do we want to accomplish ultimately? What is our vision? How do we accomplish our goals? What would be our mission? Lastly, what quadriles do we put in place to act ethically and legally as we pursue our vision and mission? What are our values? So, a vision. A statement about what an organization ultimately wants to accomplish. It captures the company's aspiration. Strategic leaders need to begin with the end in mind. We need to make our own plan. What would be the goal that we want to accomplish? Also, an effective vision lets the employees have a sense of winning and motivates them at all levels to aim for the same target while leaving room for individual and team contributions. Next, inspiring vision helps employees find meaning in their work beyond monetary rewards. This allows employees to experience a greater sense of purpose and taps people's motivation to make the world a better place through their work activities. Lastly, to provide meaning for employees in the pursuit of the organization's ultimate goals, vision should be forward-looking and inspiring. An example is the vision statement of Teach for America or the TFA. One day, all children in this nation will have the opportunity to attain an excellent education. Considering TFA's vision, it effectively and clearly communicates what TFA ultimately wants to accomplish, while providing an inspiring target to aim for. Vision statements can be inspiring and motivating in the non-profit sector, but what about for-profit firms? The main difference in the vision of for-profit firms is the metric by which the organization assesses successful performances. In this case, many companies measure success primarily by financial performance of the organization. But mostly, visionary companies show that a truly meaningful and inspiring vision makes employees feel they are part of something bigger. It can highly motivate employees and improve financial performance. And the second one is the mission. It is a description of what an organization actually does, the products and services it plans to provide, and the markets in which it will compete. It is an important navigational tool when you are thinking about the future of your company. A meaningful mission statement also distinguishes a company from its competitors. It suggests potential directions for future growth and provide team members with a common goal to work toward. Although terms vision and mission are often used interchangeably, they are different. Vision can be described by the verb to. These answer the questions, what is their goal or objective to be accomplished, while mission defines the means by. It answers the question how they will accomplish their goals or objectives, or what will be their ways or strategy that they will use. To be effective, firms need to back up their visions and missions with strategic commitments. These are actions that are costly, long-term sprinted, and difficult to reverse. Without such commitments, a firm's vision and mission are just words. Just take for an example the vision of EADS, the parent company of Airbus, to be the world's leading aerospace company. The Airbus translates this ultimate goal into its mission by manufacturing the world's best aircraft with passengers at heart and airlines in mind. But however novel the mission statements, company will not achieve competitive advantage without strategic actions to back it up. The effectiveness of vision statements differs based on whether they are customers-oriented or product-oriented. Customers-oriented vision statements allow companies to adapt to changing environments, while product-oriented vision statements often do not. Given that our environments are ever-changing, increased flexibility is often a necessary condition to achieve competitive advantage. Customer-oriented vision statements is essential for achieving customers' needs and satisfaction. Monitoring customer satisfaction produces important information that makes it possible to keep an eye and improve their processes. That helps them adapt to the changing environment. They identify a critical need but leave open the means of how to meet that need because the future is unknowable and innovation may provide new ways to meet needs that we cannot fathom today. Product-oriented vision statements only focuses on what products or services to serve. They tend to stay in their ways without changing its vision or broadening the scope of product or market. Intel Company formerly uses product-oriented vision statement but choose to shift to customer-oriented vision statements. You can see the difference between the two statements, but for some cases, product-oriented vision statements do not interfere with the firm's success in achieving superior performance and competitive advantage.
So, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Canessa Reyes, the next reporter. So, organizational values, ethical standards, and norms that govern the behavior of individuals within a firm or organization. So, in this organization values, in this situation, you can see the behavior of each individual. In one organization, you can see their experience when it comes to their behavior. So, in the next one, some ethical values have two important functions. So, we have two. Number one, they form solid foundation on which firm can build its vision and mission and thus has the groundwork for long-term success. So, here in number one, they are achieving their goal to have a success work. They think about the job on how it can be stable or to be success with their own mission. Then number two, values serve as guardrails put in in place to keep the company on track when pursuing its vision and mission in quest for competitive advantage. So here in number 2, they make sure that the company they have are still in the same succession. They make sure that this not make any mistake on their company, especially when they have competitive to the other organizations. So now let's go for topic 2.2, the strategic leadership. So here we have two strategic leadership. Number 1, it is the behavior and style of executive that influence others to achieve the organization vision and mission. So in this part, they need to influence each other behavior so that they can achieve what they have in the organization, especially when it comes to their mission and vision. The second we have, it typically resides in executive who have overall profit and loss responsibility for an entire organization. So in this second one, in this part, it is very important situation because executive has a responsibility to its organization to manage their profit and loss of the whole organization. So here we have bullet form of Merck reconfirming its core values to preserve and improve human life. So in this part, to improve human life or in one organization. So they decide to help and river blindness in Africa. The company donate its recently discovered drug medicines without charge. By 2012, Merck had donated more than 1 billion treatments to about 120 communities. As a result, the disease has effectively been eradicated. In this case of Biox, their values brought into questions. The FDA approved the new drug to treat rheumatoid arthritis. The drug was blockbuster, generating revenues of $2 billion a year by 2002 and growing fast. The Vioxx caused heart attack and stroke. Merck announced the voluntary withdrawal of Vioxx from the market. So here in this bullet form, it is the core values of reconfirming Merck's to preserve or improve human life. It will be more tackled on the next reporters. So here you can see the chart, what those strategic leaders do. So we have face-to-face meeting, which is considered as 67%, calls 6%, working alone 13%, business meals considered as 5%, email 7%, and then the last one is public events, which is considered as 2%.
How do you become an effective and ethical strategic leader? Effective leader is someone with a dream and a vision that will better society or at least some portion of it. And strategic leader is mainly concerned with development and virtuous behavior. According to the upper echelons theory, the upper echelons theory is a management theory published by Donald C. Hambrick and P. Mason in 1984. The theory states that executives interpret situations through the lens of their unique perspectives shaped by circumstances, values, and experiences. Their leadership actions reflect characteristics of age, education, and career experiences, filtered through personal interpretations of the situations they face. The upper echelons theory favors the idea that strong leadership is the result of both innate abilities and learning. The central premise of upper echelons theory is that executives' experiences, values, and personality greatly influence their interpretations of the situations they face and in turn affect their choices. In the bestseller Good to Great, Jim Collins identified great companies as those that transitional from average performance to sustained competitive advantage. He measured that transition as cumulative stock returns of 6.9 times the general market in the 15 years following their transition points. Example of those good to great company is the Gillette, now a subsidiary of Procter & Gamble. Level 5 Leadership Pyramid is a concept developed by Jim Collins. After several years of research, Collins discovered that all of the great organizations that he studied were headed by what he called Level 5 leaders. These leaders have a unique combination of fierce resolve and humility. A manager can move to the next level of leadership when the current level has been mastered. The characteristics of the 5 levels are: Level 1 makes productive contribution through motivation, talent, knowledge, and skills. Highly capable individuals are regular workers who are talented, knowledgeable, and skilled. They are effective in the workplace. Level 2 uses high level of individual capability to work effectively with others. Contributing team members are good at working with others and notably proficient at helping their groups reach objectives. Level 3 does things right. Competent managers can effectively oversee people and resources, helping to achieve predetermined goals. Level 4 does the right things. The effective leader can steer their companies toward well-defined, compelling goals. They also keep their organizations functioning at high levels of performance. And the last level is the level 5. It builds enduring greatness through combination of willpower and humility. Executives have the unique capability to develop a company's greatness through what Collins identifies as a paradoxical combination of personal humility plus professional will. Collins discovered that truly remarkable companies are defined by aspects other than leadership. It is the responsibility of Level 5 executives to understand these elements and master them effectively. To become an effective strategic leader, a manager needs to develop skills to move sequentially through 5 different leader levels: highly capable individual, contributing team member, competent manager, effective leader, and executive. Formulating strategy across levels: corporate, business, and functional managers. According to upper echelons theory, it is the top management team that primarily determines whether a firm is able to gain and sustain a competitive advantage through the strategies they pursue. Strategy formulation is concerned with the choice of strategy in terms of where and how to compete. Breaking down the strategy formulation into 3 areas is helpful. These are corporate strategy, business strategy, and functional strategy. Corporate strategy concerns relating to where to compete, example, industry, markets, and geography. Corporate strategy takes a portfolio approach to strategic decision making by looking across all of a firm's businesses to determine how to create the most value. Corporate strategy also builds on top of business strategy, which is concerned with the strategic decision making for an individual business. Business strategy concerns with question of how to compete. According to Porter's generic strategies model, there are 3 basic strategic options available to organizations for gaining competitive advantage. These are cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. While the functional strategy concerns the question of how to implement business strategy, once higher-level corporate and business strategies are developed, management need to formulate and implement strategies for each function area. Functional strategy: organizational plans prepared for various functional areas of a company's organizational structure. The illustration shows the 3 areas of strategy formulation and implementation across levels. The corporate executives are responsible to formulate corporate strategy. They need to decide which industries, market, and geographies their company should compete. They create plans rather than oversee their completion. They generally create long-term and big picture for the company. A division or a department with considerable autonomy as to how the projects will be developed and executed. The objective of corporate level strategy is to increase overall corporate value so that it is higher than the sum of the individual business units. Business strategy occurs within strategic business units or the SBUs, the standalone divisions of a larger conglomerate, each with its own profit and loss responsibility. General managers in SBUs must answer business strategy questions relating to how to compete in order to achieve superior performance. Within the guidelines received from corporate headquarters, they formulate an appropriate generic business strategy. Within each strategic business unit are various business functions: accounting, finance, human resources, product development, operations, manufacturing, marketing, and customer service. Each functional manager is responsible for decisions and actions within a single functional area. These decisions aid in the implementation of the business level strategy made at the level above. We already have gained some insight into the corporate, business, and functional levels. We will now turn to the process or method by which strategic leaders formulate and implement strategy. When strategizing for competitive advantage, managers rely on three different approaches. These are the strategic planning, scenario planning, and the strategy as planned emergence. Strategic planning was the first framework before scenario planning was introduced, and the strategy as planned emergence is the most recent addition.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Jorin May Icarpio from BSBA 3C. I'm going to report the three different approaches. The first one is strategic planning. Strategic planning is an organizational management activity that is used to set priorities, focus, energy, and resources, strengthen operations to ensure that employees and other stakeholders are working toward common goals. So, in estate planning, this is an important to an organization because it provides a sense of direction, measurable goals, and outlines. This is useful tool for guiding day-to-day decisions and also for evaluating progress and changing approaches when moving forward. Number 2 is scenario planning. Scenario planning is making assumptions on what the future is going to be and now your business environment will change over time in light of that future. It is identifying a specific set of uncertainties, different realities of what might happen in the future of business. For example, farmers. Farmers use scenarios to predict whether the harvest will be good or bad, depending on the weather. It helps them forecast their sales, but also their investment. Next is strategy as planned emergency. Is a pattern of action that develops over time in an organization in the absence of a specific mission and goals or despite a mission and goals. Next is top-down strategic planning, a rational top-down process through which management can program future success. Typically concentrates strategic intelligence and decision making responsibilities in the future. So, as the name indicates, top-down planning is an approach that aims at moving gradually from the top to the lower levels of a hierarchy. Next is strategic planning in the AFI framework. So, analysis, vision, mission, and values, external analysis, internal analysis. In formulation, meron tayong corporate strategy, business strategy, functional strategy, and implementation, we have structure, culture, and control. corporate governance, and business ethics. At times, strategic leaders impose their visions into a company's strategy, structure, and culture from the top down in order to create and enact a desired future state. Top-down strategic planning rests on the assumption that we can predict the future from the past. So in AFI framework, so in AFI framework, analysis is a strategic planning tool that links three stages of planning: analysis, formulating, and implementation. This strategic approach is used by organizations to gain and sustain competitive advantage. The benefit of this approach is that it separates initial analysis from external analysis. The internal analysis it can and it carried out as the first step, followed by external and internal business strategy. Formulation and implementation, however, this framework lacks monitoring as process from only in one direction. When strategy is formulated, it is implemented. In real life, companies go back to reassess their strategy based on changes in the environment. Thank you.
Scenario planning, a strategy planning activity in which managers envision different what-if scenario to anticipate plausible future. So scenario planning, it is a way of the managers to create or imagining possible future by identifying assumption about the future and determining how their organization will respond to that situation or scenario. A strategy executive at UPS recently identified 6 issues as critical to shaping its future competitive scenarios. And they are the price of oil, climate change, trade barriers, the emerging BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, and China economies, political instability, and the last one, online commerce worldwide. So as you can see, guys, there is illustration of scenario planning within the AFI strategy framework. So the first step they create is the analysis, wherein they identify multiple future scenarios, and the second step is formulation, wherein they develop a strategic plan to address future scenarios. Third step is execute dominant strategic plan. So this dominant strategic plan is the option that top manager decide most closely matches the current liability. So the last step is create a strategic option. It is an developing alternative plans if hindi gumana yung isang strategic plan, yung dominant strategic plan. So,
hello everyone, my name is Luisa May de la Cruz and I'm going to report about strategy as planned emergence, top-down and bottom-up. Critics of top-down and scenario planning argue that strategic planning is not the same as strategic thinking. So in fact, they argue that the strategic planning processes are often too regimented and confining. According to critics of strategic planning, in order to be successful, a strategy should be based on an inspiring vision and not on hard data alone. So they advise that managers should focus on all types of information sources, including soft sources that can generate new insights, such as personal experience or the experience of frontline employees. The important work according to this viewpoint is to synthesize all available input from different internal and external sources into an overall strategic vision. So this vision in turn should then guide the firm's strategy, as discussed earlier in this chapter. To reflect the reality that strategy can be planned or emerge from the bottom up, Exhibit 2.8 shows a more integrative approach to strategy making. So we have there the Exhibit 2.8, which shows us the different strategies under the scenario planning. So we have there the intended strategy, realized strategy, unrealized strategy, and the bottom-up or emergent strategy. So first, let us talk about what is intended strategy. So when we said intended strategy, it is the outcomes of a rational and structured top-down strategic plan. So intended strategy is the strategy that an organization hopes to execute. These are usually described in detail within an organization's strategic plan. Next, we have the realized strategy. When we said realized strategy, it is a generally combination of its top-down strategic intentions and bottom-up emergent. So a realized strategy is the strategy that an organization actually follows. So it is a product of a firm's intended strategy. For example, is the what the firm planned to do. So first, let us know what is the difference between the intended strategy and the realized strategy. So, intended strategy, the plan at the beginning. Kumbaga, sa una pa lang, ito yung strategy na dapat gamitin under the scenario planning kasi dito natin tinatawag na intended, intention mo sa isang kumpanya o yung gusto mong mangyari sa isang organization or firm. Ito ang intended strategy. While a realized strategy naman, how it worked out at the end. Kumbaga, dito natin nakikita yung result ng intended strategy, kung successful ba siya o hindi. So that, tinawag ito na realized strategy kasi realization ito ng intended strategy o result. So the two were often different because the intended strategy may be of poor quality or competitors may bring pressure that required changes in strategy. There may be other influences also that cause the strategy as actually implemented to be different from what was originally planned. Third, we have the emergent strategy. It is any unplanned strategic initiatives undertaken by mid-level employees of their own volition. An emergent strategy is an unplanned strategy that arises in response to unexpected opportunities and challenges. Sometimes, emergent strategies result in disasters, but sometimes emergent strategies can also lead to tremendous success. An emergent strategy develops within an organization in the absence of a specific mission and goals. Some business chooses an emergent strategies in daily operations to remain flexible to current demands. So, what is the strategic initiative? So, when we said strategic initiative, it is any activity of firms forced to explore and develop new products and processes, new markets, or new ventures. Then, strategic initiatives can bubble up from deep within a firm through autonomous actions, serendipity, resource allocation process, or what we call the RAP. So, what is autonomous action? It is an action involves initiatives of individuals or small groups that are outside the scope of the corporate strategy at the time they came about. The autonomous strategy process is variation increasing, produces a degree of instability, changes the identity of the company, and explores new opportunities. Next, we have serendipity. Serendipity management should be understood as creating suitable conditions for serendipitous creative processes and facilitating creative works, motivation, and collaboration in the organization. And last, we have the resource allocation process or RAP. It is just a fancy term for a plan that you develop for using the available resources at your disposal in a project. This is mostly a short-term plan set in place to achieve goals in the future.
Strategy Highlight 2.2 illustrates that successful emergent strategies are sometimes the result of serendipity combined with autonomous actions of lower-level employees. Functional managers are much closer to the final products, services, and customers than corporate or business-level managers. As a result, functional managers may initiate strategic initiatives based on autonomous action that can influence the direction of the company. Top-level executives need to support the emergent strategies that they believe will fit the firm's vision and mission for the success. Diana's autonomous actions may not have succeeded or even got her in trouble if she did not garner the support of a senior Starbucks executive. Taken together, a firm's realized strategy is frequently a combination of top-down strategic intent and bottom-up emergent strategies. Planned emergence strategy process in which organizational structure and systems allow bottom-up strategic initiatives to emerge and be evaluated and coordinated by top management. There are two ingredients needed to create a powerful foundation upon which to formulate and implement a strategy in order to gain and sustain competitive advantage. First, an inspiring vision and mission with the support of ethical values. Second, the company needs an effective strategic management process. Each strategy process has its strengths and weaknesses. Effectivity of the chosen strategy process is contingent upon the rate of external and internal environments of the firm. Larger firms uses the top-bottom strategic planning process or the scenario planning. The important implication of this topic is that all employees should be involved in setting a vision and mission to create a more meaningful work. Employees will be motivated if they are included to the company's vision and mission. Lower-level employees will focus on strategy implementation when the firm is using top-bottom or scenario planning. Any employee have a great ideas that can be as strategic initiatives with the potential to innovate the company.